We are, all of us, the residents of a swiftly shrinking globe, where what was once local is fast becoming global, and our decisions and opinions resonate well beyond our own borders. Join me each week, your host, Al Zucaro, from the epicenter of the Western Hemisphere, Boca Raton, Florida, in sunny South Palm Beach County, for a pointed look at politics, immigration, culture, and what it means to be a citizen of the world. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Citizens of the World. As you know, I'm Al Zucaro. I'm your host, and we're here today to talk about some of the items that are in the news this past week and affecting our lifestyle and our politics. I want to bring up something very interesting. It's about education. A judge in Florida, Judge Moore, recently made a ruling that said that the state of Florida's position that birthright citizens, people that were born in the United States, who happen to be of parents that are either undocumented or illegal aliens, are subject to some other rate than the in-state tuition rate, arguing not that the child isn't entitled as a citizen, but because the child was born of an illegal immigrant, therefore they should be treated from other people that were born in the United States and live in the state of Florida and having in-state rates available. Well, I have to tell you, as much as I want to enforce by the letter of the law the immigration laws of the United States, that is just simply wrong. With all of the issues that are going on in the United States with regards to birth, the birther question, whether the president is eligible, etc., etc., for the Florida Department of Education to have taken this position is just untenable. It's just not possible. So I want to read a little bit of what the judge said to you and quoted in the newspapers. It says, in a ruling announced last Tuesday, a federal judge in Miami told public universities and colleges that it is illegal for them to charge U.S.-born citizens out-of-state tuition rates solely because their parents are in the country illegally. In a decision that could affect thousands of students, including many in Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast, U.S. Judge K. Michael Moore, a Bush appointee, stated that the state tuition policy violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. And in an editorial by our local newspaper, the Palm Beach Post, the following was said, quoted, "The principle that guided his reasoning is simple and seemingly incontrovertible. Quote, people should be judged on their own deeds and attributes, not those of their relatives," close quote. They then go reference the judge's decision, and in his decision, Judge Moore quoted from a 1972 U.S. Supreme Court decision that makes the point implicitly. That decision says, imposing disabilities on a child is contrary to the basic concepts of our citizen that legal burdens should bear some relationship to individual responsibility or wrongdoing. Well, I think the judge got it right. And I think that the state of Florida needs to back off. And although they're looking at it for purposes of appeal, I think they're completely wrong. And with that said, we're going to step away a little bit. We're going to move and remind you that this section of the show is brought to you by Fugazi International Travel. That's www.fugazitravel.com. And we're now going to move on to our favorite political commentary, and that is from Ira Sabin. Take it away, Ira.
Hello again, everyone. The 2012 election is shaping up, as you know, and people have said, as the most important we're looking at, in the country's lifetime. But there's also something that's a nagging question. If Obama wins, could the 2012 election lead to a presidential dictatorship? The overwhelming majority of Americans do not understand that Obama's first term was dedicated to putting in place executive power to enable him and the administration to fulfill the campaign promise of transforming America. In his second term, regardless of which political party controls Congress, that is why his re-election team is virtually ignoring the plight of incumbent or prospective Democratic Party office holders. They don't care. They only care about getting Obama re-elected. The most significant accomplishment of Obama's first term was to make Congress irrelevant. Under the myopic and blindly loyal leadership of Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi, the Democrats have succeeded in creating an imperial and, in a second term, a potential dictatorial presidency. During the first 2 years of the Obama administration, when the Democrats overwhelmingly controlled both houses of Congress and the media was in an Obama-worshipping stupor, a myriad of laws were passed and actions taken which transferred virtually unlimited power to the executive branch. The birth of multi-thousand-page laws was not an aberration, it was planned. This tactic was adopted so the bureaucracy controlled by Obama appointees would have sole discretion in interpreting vaguely written laws and enforcing thousands of pages of regulations they, and not Congress, would subsequently write. The same is true in the 2,319 pages of the Dodd-Frank Financial Reform Act, as well as the 2,700 pages of Obamacare. In the 2,700-page Obamacare, there are 700 instances where it states the Secretary of Health and Human Services shall be instructed by more than 200 terms, leaving the action at her discretion. The Dodd-Frank bill also creates new agencies, such as the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, not subject to any oversight by Congress. Additionally, the Obama administration has, through its unilaterally determined rule-making and regulatory powers, created laws out of whole cloth. The Environmental Protection Agency, on a near daily basis, issues new regulations clearly out of their purview, in order to modify and change environmental laws previously passed and to pose a radical green agenda never approved by Congress, but wanted by Obama supporters. The same is true of the Energy and Interior Departments, among many others. It is clearly the mindset of this administration and its appointees that Congress is merely a nuisance and can be ignored after they were able to take full advantage of the useful idiots in the Democrat-controlled House and Senate in 2009 and 10, and the Democratic Senate in the current Congress. The stalemate between the executive and legislative branches will work to the benefit of Barack Obama and his fellow leftists. The most significant power Congress has is the control of the purse strings, as all spending must be approved by them. However, once re-elected, Barack Obama is confirmed by his willingness to do or say anything, and his unscrupulous re-election tactics would not only threaten government shutdowns, but would deliberately withhold payments to those dependent on government support as a means of intimidating and forcing a Republican-controlled Congress to surrender to his demands, thus neutering their ability to control the administration through spending constraints. We, the American people, must also come to grips with this moment in time and play our role in denying Barack Obama his lifelong goal of transforming us into slaves working on his government plantation. Thank you and good evening.
Well, welcome back, and thank you, Ira. You're always so exciting. You know, you really need to be a little less animated in your presentations. And I'm going to look forward to having Ira on the show again recently together so we can do this and we can banter back and forth about the DNC and the RNC conventions. I'd like to switch a little bit right now. I'd like to talk about something that's going on in Canada. The Canadian Business Association has stated unequivocally that their development of international trade is being hampered because they are facing problems finding people with skills. I think we're having the same problem in the United States, so I thought it was kind of interesting to bring this forward. And the article that I'm reading from, which was sent to me from TradeReady.ca, Canadian businesses, foremost among these skills is an ability to understand trade finance and compliance. Businesses also lack workers who can combine technical skills with knowledge of specific industries, regulations, and geographic regions. I find that most of our schools are not preparing people for the true difficulties of doing international trade. And here in Florida, international trade is the leading sector even tops tourism with regards to the amount of money that's generated from this. So I want to just tell you about some of the things that the Canadian companies are doing to meet this challenge. They're acquiring workers who meet not only the education requirements of the job, but are also exposed to international business environments and business development practices. They're attracting and retaining workers with technical skills such as trade, finance, and regulatory compliance. They're searching for workers who have a combination of technical skills and knowledge of various regulatory environments. They're buying, quote unquote, skilled workers rather than developing these workers within their organizations. They're using informal and formal methods of knowledge transfer to retain and develop specific capabilities, and they're recognizing that similar and transferable skills exist. Companies and sectors are restructuring, and workers are looking to choose from a variety of employment arrangements. We are having the same challenges here in the United States, so we need to take a look at that. Following up on that, there's an organization here in Florida called the Florida Foreign Trade Association. You can find them at info@ffta.com. FFTA is doing an event, coming up right now with an event that stands for Florida Foreign Trade Association, and they're doing an import-export seminar. And it'll be later on in this month, the September 25th and 26th, from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. It's being held at the Miami Free Zone, and it covers topics as international terms of sale, buyers and sellers' responsibilities, and a litany of things. You can find this information out at info@ffta.com. I suggest that you go, and if you're one of the many companies that do international trade here in Palm Beach County, this is something worthwhile going to. Now, this next item falls under the category of no good deed goes unpunished, and I got to tell you something, it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago. The Chicago Teachers Association are on strike. Well, what do you know about that? Here's a guy that is one of the biggest proponents for organized labor. He worked in President Obama's as chief of staff. He is one of the architects of all of the controversy and all of the acrimony that's going on between labor and non-labor. And now he can't handle his own system. Bah ha ha, Mr. Emanuel. Go back to Chicago. Try and figure out what to do. And by the way, all those people that are dead that are voting, keep them dead. Thank you very much. Let's move on. And then China snapping up U.S. assets. This was a very interesting article about 10, 12 days ago. And what it basically says is that the Chinese, because of their excess amount of money, are beginning to buy their way into America. And this is causing some concern. Well, for those of you that are old like me, you'll remember back in the 80s, the Japanese were doing the same kind of thing. And there was all this concern that Japan was going to take over the United States. It never happened. But China is moving in that direction. And I'll give you some examples. In the target company, AMC Entertainment Holdings, Delane Wanda Group invested $2.6 billion this year. Devon Energy Assets, acquiring company is China Petrochemical, $2.4 billion. And on down the list. You can find this article on the sunsentinel.com. It was their Wednesday, August 29, 2012 edition. I suggest you go and you take a look at it because it's raising some concerns. And you might want to just look at it. It was actually published by a D. Pearson, D-P-I-E-R-S-O-N, at Tribune.com. So this came out of the Tribune newspapers. Now, with that said, just to remind you that this section of the show was brought to you by Zucaro.com. That's my law firm. And we specialize in immigration. Well, we don't specialize in anything, actually. We concentrate on immigration law, and we do a whole bunch of other things to boot. We're going to close the show today by moving on to President's 2012 Patriot or Puppet for Billionaires. Actually had the opportunity about 10 days or so ago to interview David Tippie, who is the author of this book. I recommend that you stay and you take a look at what he has to say, and you can pick this book up on Amazon.com. At any rate, with all of that said, and I know my time is running out, I need to go, and I will see you next show. Thank you. Bye-bye now. Welcome back, folks, citizens of the world here. This is Al Zucaro, your host. And you know this is the major political season. We are actually experiencing the conventions of both parties over the next few days and weeks, and things are very exciting here. And to that situation, we have an author here, David Tippie.
David Tippie.
Who's going to tell us about his book, which is entitled, you saw it? President 2012, pauper or?
That's a patriot or puppet for billionaires.
Go for it. Tell me what inspired you to write such a book with such a provocative title.
You know, I have a lifetime from JFK forward of really being a political, you might say, sponge. I want to read, I want to research, I wanted to find out why that president was assassinated. And it was very important to me. When it came down to really realizing why, which was the idea that that man realized that we had to be a country that was not what the country could do for you, but what you could do for the country, was so inspiring. It was awe-inspiring. Plus, he was already a very wealthy, came from a wealthy family, so it was one of those things in his heart. He was trying to give a leg up to those less fortunate folks. Now, unfortunately, that was, you might say, hijacked by those individuals today who make their living, and a good one, on persecuting their own race by saying things like they're entitled to something. It is not that you should be given a leg up so that you can be self-sufficient. You can lay down, not work. You're going to get your food and your housing and everything paid, and all you have to do is be a good serf. And that is the reason why I take such pride in absolutely being my own educator. There's never going to be an education that's coming from some professor. You've got to have a passion to be educated.
Are we a country of equal opportunity or a country of equal outcomes?
You know, if there's equal opportunity, it's the idea that you use your brain cells. It's kind of like that silly statement that came from our sitting guy in the White House. You didn't build that business. Well, think about this. Blood, sweat, and tears builds every business, and the boss walks through the front door. Okay? I don't care what your service or what your product is. The boss walks through the front door. And everybody in business knows that. You come up with a passionate idea. You come up with the solutions, and you do it because of your own passion.
So tell us the main thrust of your book. I mean, you have a provocative subtitle.
Right. One of the things that I want to grab attention on is to let people realize that you cannot have a person who is going to be beholden to somebody or a group, which is going to be their boss, and elect them to an elected office. You've got to have patriotic Americans who love this country, who do not have anyone backing them. Me. You might have to say, geez, you're not a rich guy. Even the media says you got to have the most money to win. Well, I'm saying that you look back and say, hey, how's it worked so far? The Dr. Phil thing. Hey, let's change the way we're thinking. Elect your neighbor who loves this country. Elect the person who's financially the same as you, looks the same as you, drives the same car, who loves this country. Not beholden to anyone. Those puppeteers are out there that run the puppets right now, called a teleprompter. Have you ever been around when he is speaking without his teleprompter?
He being Obama?
He being Obama. A complete blithering person who does not have a hold on anything. He needs to go on a golf trip somewhere and stay away and let the people in the White House take care of business, and then when he comes back, he has his nice teleprompter and what he should be saying. That's the kind of politics we got to get away from.
Do you think that either side of the political equation is any different than the other?
I want everybody to realize that Republican in name only, rhino, is the same as the left-wing nut job. if you're not down the center, that you love this country, you respect and want our Constitution, Bill of Rights, all to be how we govern this country, then you've got to get away from the right and the left. It's the center, that conservative, that I am for. You read that book, you will find that it is powerful about speaking on both behalves as being the problem. Like President Reagan said, government is not the answer to your problems. It is the cause of your problems. Building government, expanding government is outlandish. Think about it. It really just takes a few brain cells. Think about what's happening. Has it worked so far? No. And it's getting worse. We've got to stop that, get the playing field. Listen, you, me, and everybody out there has got to realize how much money they make, and they make a budget, and they live within their means. So does government. We don't keep expanding government. You don't create a job on the back of the taxpayer. The taxpayer job is not anything other than a tax. We've got to realize that if you really want to get it over on those rich people, lower the tax where they can improve jobs and get the jobs up and bring business back to this country again. Not try to escape from the taxes and ship the jobs overseas. We have to use our brain cells. And that means getting back to the center and Constitution and realizing that those people in office, we're the fifth branch. Who are we? We the people. We're the fifth branch of government. And we're the boss. But we've forgotten that. We've slowly been robbed of that education for the past 100 years called progressivism. We used to be number one. We're 19th now. We are dumbed down our schools. Why? Because dumb people are easier to be controlled. And I'm saying enough. Enough. We've got to get back on track again. The people are the boss. The employees are the politicians. We've got to understand that, learn it again if we have to, and get back on track with our Constitution and live within our means. And that's going to take sacrifice on all parties to try to get back to day one. What's the first thing I'd like to do? Get rid of about 5,000 of those agencies that are government agencies that overlap one another just to create tax burden jobs.
Sound very much like Mr. Rand.
Well, think about Rand Paul and Ron Paul. Okay, there's more to running and understanding the country than just physical responsibility. Now, I think that if we're going to have a 21st century into the 22nd and out there and protect our children, we need to get the government back to where it should be. And that's protecting America and Americans and getting out of your life and my life and everybody else's. Get out of the business of trying to tell you what to eat, what to dress, and how to act, and etc. Get out of that business.
That's my point. Ron Paul's position is very much a libertarian position that says that we have a constitution, we need to live by the constitution, and we need to get rid of a lot of the layers of bureaucracy, starting with the Federal Reserve.
Exactly. Now, those are all contingency plans and great ones to get us back on track here, but you cannot ever realize enough that you have to protect this country. And you know, President Reagan had the right attitude when he said, we're going to initiate Star Wars. We're going to do everything from 100,000 to satellite position. We're going to do everything covertly, and everybody that's a threat to this country, by God, they're a threat, and they should be handled that way, but not boots on the ground. Everything should be in a covert operation to make certain that Americans and America is protected. This silliness about letting this Iran business go on over there without having the courage to handle it, boom, once and for all, get away from it for forever. And then, how about this? We've been beholden to foreign countries for oil. That's the dumbest thing in the world. We are the oil kingdom.
Let's save that for the second half of the interview.
Okay.
Let's leave this interview with the notion that you're supporting the proposition that America should govern from a position of strength.
Exactly.
And when we come back, we'll take that up again, folks. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Tippy.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you in a little bit.
On Nat Geo.
I'm the key against your side door. I'm a wild deer.
An important alert.
Train,
motivate,
develop,
reward,
listen,
communicate,
achieve,
create,
exceed,
succeed.
Welcome to the next chapter. A new beginning. A great day. Two leading companies have joined forces to form the most comprehensive service provider our industry has ever seen. We are a company dedicated to listening to and satisfying our customers, creating opportunities for our employees, achieving long-term sustainable growth. And we are positioned to deliver on all three of these goals better than ever before in our history. Today, we are ready to meet the needs of customers in every rental segment: business travelers, leisure travel, in town, and insurance replacement. From humble beginnings more than 50 years ago, in the lower level of an auto dealership, with 7 cars and a dream, Jack Taylor started a tiny leasing company. With a hunch and a philosophy to take care of his customers and employees first, Jack's dream would grow into the largest rental car company in North America. And it would grow to be the most complete transportation service provider in our industry, expanding beyond car rental, including fleet management, car sales, and commercial truck rental. Expanding beyond the United States into Canada, the United Kingdom, Ireland, Germany, and Puerto Rico. This is a day that, thanks to your dedication and performance, we enjoy unparalleled financial strength and stability. And thanks to the Taylor family's continued commitment and investment into the business, we can be sure of long-term sustainability. Together, we stand ready to leverage the combined strengths of Enterprise, National, and Alamo to move our company to a whole new level of growth and success. We have always exceeded customers' expectations, listening to and taking care of them better than anyone in our industry. We have always created significant opportunities for the success of our company and our employees. Today, we are positioned to do these things better than ever before. It is truly a great day for all of us at Enterprise, National, and Alamo. We will continue to exceed and succeed.